Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Modesty's Masterclass, Modesty's Money Masterclass. I remain your man, Ikenna Umezidike, and I welcome you on to this brand new working week. It's another Monday, and we've showed up again just to do the things that excites us and the things that we really enjoy and love doing every Monday here, which is financial education aimed at financial liberation. So today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of people may not want to hear, may not like to hear, but it's essential that they hear it. And one thing I know that on this platform is that we do not sugarcoat words. We do not try to beautify or sentimentalize things to make them, look appealing to you before you hear them, as long as they are the truth. We say it the way it is, and we hope you understand it. We hope you grab it. We hope you run with it. So what are we going to be talking about today? We are going to be talking about how to remain poor. Okay? How to remain poor. So if you're so much in love with poverty, if you're in bed with poverty, if poverty is something that you so much embrace and you want to remain in that circle, in that situation, listen, we've got it all loaded for you. We've got everything, every information you need to keep you at that level. But if you are really willing to make rapid progress and willing to change status, to step your game up and make sure that even if you have tasted poverty before, you never taste it again. Or even if you have never tasted it, you will never taste it. It's all about how much information and the help we give you to apply those information. So today's episode is really, really loaded. This is season 2, episode number 17 of Modesty's Money Masterclass, and we're talking how to remain poor. Let's get straight into it. So now, let me just make a little bit of, just create this caveat for now. We're not here to mock the poor. I am not here to make a mockery of people's poor financial situation. I am here to educate and help people get out of that financial situation that has remained unpalatable to them. That financial situation that they have always wanted to get out of. But all I'm doing is offering you information, education, and knowledge that will help you step your game up and become more financially liberal. So, who is poor? Let's start with our understanding of what being poor means. Being poor basically means someone who lacks enough money to afford a comfortable or normal standard of living. Now, this is the dictionary definition of poor. So we can see that the basic elements of that is embedded in this definition, which means there is lack of money, which means there is lack of comfort, which means there is lack of acceptable standard, which means that there is an absence of normality in that person's life. So what it means that there is an expected standard of living, basic at least. There is an expected level of life, level of comfort that every decent human being should not only aspire to, but also should be in at every point in time in their lives. But these are ideals. The reality of the situation is that not everybody is at that level. Not everybody is living that. And then what we are here to now dissect is what is responsible or what could be responsible. Why are people in this state and why do people remain in that state? So with our dictionary understanding of who is poor, what poor means, I have also added some meat, and flesh to those bones. The definition. I have also said that this also means that someone who doesn't have enough money to afford the essential basics of life, the basic essentials of life, like housing, like clothing, like food, like even heating. Here in the UK, there is what we call fuel poverty. There are different levels of poverty. Even there is sanitary poverty these days. There are young girls who cannot afford to buy pads when they are seeing their period. Sanitary poverty. There is fuel poverty. There are people who can't afford to heat their homes when it's really cold, especially in the winter. You know, all these levels of poverty exist for different things. So there are basic things in life that people should have, but they can't afford it. They don't have it because they cannot afford it. And that's being poor. And nobody that I know who is sane enough really wants to find themselves in that situation. The other flesh I added to this is, apart from just lacking the basic essentials of life, like housing, clothing, food, and heating and all that, I also see that somebody who is poor is someone who does not have the financial capacity to afford the basic financial necessities of life. There are certain financial necessities that any decent human being should have. And these are savings, investments, and insurance. These are basic financial necessities. If anyone cannot afford to have these, I categorize that person as being poor. Because apart from the basic things that helps life to get on, there are basic necessities that helps you elevate your financial status. And that these are savings, investments, and insurance. So if you cannot afford to save, you cannot afford to invest, you cannot afford to insure, you are poor. You have not got to that financial elevation stage. So you look around yourself and you see that these things are lacking. So those are that's just to help us understand where I'm coming from when I'm talking about how to remain poor, or who I have categorized as people who are poor. Right? So you might be thinking that you are rich, but then if you find yourself in this category that I have described now, unfortunately, you should be categorizing yourself as poor and finding a way to get out of that situation. Now, there are different categorizations of people's financial status that I have come to realize. And these categorizations are my personal categorizations, for example, which is applicable to what I'm talking about today. So first of all, we have the poor, which I have already described, right, in my definitions above. Then we have the rich lookalikes. Yeah, we have the rich lookalikes. You know why I call them the rich lookalikes? They look rich, they appear rich, but they are not rich. You see, I cannot remember how many times, on how many occasions, and how many people have approached me and asked me a question. They have said to me, has anybody told you that you look like John Legend? And I go, yes, somebody has said that before. I'm being very, very honest with you. I cannot remember how many times, on how many occasions, and how many people have told me that I look like John Legend. And somebody basically said to me, if you want to make money, right, pretending to be John Legend, trust me, you are going to be a very, very rich man. A lot of people are going to mistake you to be John Legend. But then until I speak. And then they will know that no, this is not John Legend's accent, you know. So it's only my accent that would have given me away if I decided to pretend that I was John Legend. But countless number of times, numerous people have come to me to say to me, you look very much like John Legend. And I keep basking in that euphoria to say, wow, that's good. It feels good to look like a celebrity. So there are celebrity lookalikes. How many times have you seen someone and the person looks exactly like this other person, right? And the person looks like this other person. There are celebrity lookalikes. The same thing applies to financial statuses. Thank you, Ada. People look rich. There are lots of people who look rich, but they are not rich. And you will see them in their appearance, in the way they carry themselves, in the things they do, they look rich, but they're not. So I call those people rich lookalikes. And what makes them rich lookalikes? They like to appear rich. They live above their means. They spend more than they earn just to keep that lookalike alive. And trust me, if I want to look like someone, I will have to spend some time and effort in making myself look like the person. If the person wears a wig, I will need to go and buy a wig and put that wig on. If there are some certain makeups I'm going to make to look like the person, I'm going to do it because I want to look like that person. So it might cost me time, effort, and money to do that. So it's not easy and it's not cheap to look rich, because you will have to live a life that makes you look rich. You drive an expensive car. You have to wear an expensive wristwatch. You have to wear an expensive perfume. You have to wear expensive clothes. You have to live in an expensive neighborhood. You have to have expensive interior decor for people to come into your house and say. You have to have an expensive phone. You have to wear expensive shoes. You have to eat in expensive restaurants. You have to go on expensive holidays. So these are the things that you need to do to actually look rich. Now, doing those things, what does it cost you? It costs you money. And those are money that you do not have. Those are lifestyles that you cannot afford. But then you have to look rich for certain motives that are, I have been in forums where people justify what we call packaging. And they say, look, if you do not look rich, you cannot tie down a particular deal. If you don't appear rich, you cannot talk to certain people in certain quarters. If you don't look rich, you are going to lose out on certain big businesses that should have come your way. And that is absolute fallacy. That is absolute fallacy. You haven't got that deal or that business because you looked rich. The only thing that gave you that deal and that business was your ability to convince whoever you are dealing with that you're up to the task. No matter how much you package yourself, I have seen people who have gone for business meetings, dressed in something simple, and they came out with a deal because they sounded convincing. But some people just want to live a rich life just to cover up for things that I do not understand. So I call them the rich lookalikes. Now, the third category of people I categorize in financial, and actually the rich ones, right? Now, one thing I forgot to mention with the rich lookalikes is this category of people, they are all liabilities and no assets. And I have defined liabilities and assets here a number of times in the past. That liabilities are things that take money out of your pocket. And assets are things that put money in your pocket. Those are simple definitions of assets and liabilities. So these people who are rich lookalikes, they are all liabilities, no assets. Okay? So they have more things taking money out of their pocket. They have everything taking money out of their pockets. Everything they have takes money out of their pockets. And nothing brings money into their pockets except maybe their income or their jobs. Now, the third category of people are the people who I categorize as being rich. Now, rich people, right? Rich people just about meet their lifestyle needs. Okay? They have more liabilities than they have assets. Rich people, they have no wealth accumulation plan or strategy. They have no plan or strategy on how to arrive wealthy or how to end up wealthy or how to become wealthy. They may have good jobs, well-paying jobs. They may have good businesses that generate them a very good income. But watch the composition of their liabilities and their assets. They have more liabilities than they have assets. They just about meet their lifestyle needs. Their focus is on maintaining their lifestyle and their standard of life. They cannot afford to let that lifestyle drop for any reason, because they cannot afford the shame, they cannot afford the stigma, they cannot afford the embarrassment. So whatever it takes to maintain that lifestyle, they're going to do it. Even if they spend their whole monthly income maintaining it. As long as there is little enough to carry them into the next month until the next payday comes, they are fine. So this category will live from paycheck to paychecks. Okay? So because they are so focused on their lifestyle, they work so hard. They really work hard. I'm not going to take it away from them. Rich people work hard. They can even do 2-3 jobs to make sure that that lifestyle is maintained. They can do whatever kind of work they need to do to make sure they don't drop out of that, or that they don't change the phone they use. They don't change the car they use. They maintain the same level of car, if not the same brand, but at least on the same category. They want to make sure that their children still attend the same expensive private schools that they attend. They want to make sure they still live in the same expensive neighborhood that they live in. They want to make sure that people come into their house and they still see the expensive chandeliers and the sofas and the 95 inches TV on their walls. That's what matters to them. So if it means expending their whole money, expending their whole energy to maintain it, they're going to do it. That's what rich people do. But my favorite category of people now is number 4, the wealthy. I love dealing with wealthy people. I love wealthy people. You know why? Because they don't care one bit about lifestyle. What they care mostly about is making sure that at every point in time, their assets are always on top of their liabilities. And their assets, in most occasions, are financing their lifestyle and their liabilities. That's what wealthy people do. They spend a lifetime building wealth. They spend their lifetime building wealth. They invest, and invest. As they invest, they protect the investment. As they invest, they protect, they insure, they save. They deny themselves of short-term comfort and pleasure because they have a well thought out plan and strategy on how to get to their wealthy level. They might start poor. They might start like they are that they might start like they are behind their peers, but before you know it, the level of acceleration that they will experience, some people will think, oh, this guy was just lucky, he just hit one big break like that, and that was what announced him to the world, that was what catapulted him to the top. Do you know how long he's been working on that big break? Do you know how patient this person has been? Do you know how much investment they have been making? Not just in themselves, but in their own assets and their own businesses. These are wealthy people who focus on building assets. So if you want to be wealthy, your focus should be away from lifestyle and put it on assets. Everything you are doing to maintain your lifestyle, double it to double your assets. Invest like that is the only thing you can think about, because that is the only thing that actually gives you a comfortable lifestyle. These people who are wealthy, what they have done is they have built so much assets that if they now want to live a particular lifestyle, they go into that asset, and the returns from that asset will fund their holiday. The return from that asset will fund their expensive cars. Return from that asset will fund even their charity work that they do. Meanwhile, you, the one who says you are rich, the only thing funding your lifestyle is your income. But these wealthy people, they have an income, and that income they have used to build assets. As the income is coming, they are channeling it to the assets. As the income is coming, they are channeling it to the assets and they're investing. Meanwhile, that income is still there. So if anything happens to that income, the assets and the wealth they have built over time can actually last them longer than even your income can last you. So without touching their income, the returns from their assets is already, thank you so much, Namdi. The return from their assets is already financing their lifestyle. And you are looking at them and you are thinking you are in competition with them. You are fooling yourself, because the person you are competing against is not even spending a penny of his or her income. What you are seeing them do is using the returns from their investments to fund their lifestyle, and the income keeps pumping in. They have not even touched their salary. They don't even touch their main source of income, and that's what they do. So these are the category of people that I want to associate myself with. These are the category of people that you would like to associate yourself with, to study what exactly it is that they are doing, that they are getting so right. So while the rich look-alike spend so much time to appear rich because they want to impress either their neighbors or their girlfriends or their boyfriends or their peers, or they want to appear rich. Those are the rich look-alikes. Then the poor, those who cannot afford the basic things of life. Let me tell you how to remain there. Pay attention very seriously. We're going to have another part of this, right? Because I've got more than 16 points to give to you on how to remain poor. Yeah, I'm going to give you some of it today, and next week Monday I'm going to give you the rest, right? So for those who are poor and who want to remain poor and who want to remain where they are, let me tell you how to do that. Let me tell you how to remain in that hole and never come out of it if you don't want to come out of it. Number one, for you to remain poor is for you to live above your means. If you want to be eternally poor in your life, right? If you want to eternally live in lack of money, please continue living above your means. Please continue spending more than you earn. As long as you keep doing that, I guarantee you, poverty will hug you like your mom. Yeah? A very warm you will receive a very warm hug from poverty, like your mom has never hugged you. Continue living above your means. Continue earning £1,000 and then owning iPhone 14 or whatever number it is, and continue riding the latest Benz in town. Continue hanging the 95 inches TV on your wall where you know that you cannot afford. Or continue sitting on the latest Italian sofa. Continue wearing the latest wristwatches. Continue with the most expensive shoes your eyes can set on. Your sneakers, your sneakers alone cost 150 to 200 pounds. Right? Continue doing that. As long as you continue doing that, poverty is very much your friend. You are gonna remain eternally poor as long as you continue living above your means, because you feel you have peer pressure. Who are you living to impress? For God's sake, it's not a competition we're in. If you continue to live above your means, you will never leave the level you're operating at. You will continue to operate at that level of lack of money. You will continue to complain that there isn't enough money to go around. But if you know you want to get out of that situation where money will no longer be a problem in the future, you will begin now not to even live within your means, but live below it. My admonition is not for you to live within your means, because living within your means you are living from hand to mouth. If you want to escape poverty, learn to live below your means. Spend less than you earn. So number one way of remaining poor is to live above your means. So before you start looking at iPhone 13 and iPhone, how much are you earning? Can you afford to buy that iPhone 13 even once, not to talk about twice? A wise person once said, if you cannot buy something 3 times over, you cannot afford that thing. Listen, If you cannot afford to buy something 3 times over, you cannot afford that thing. So if you're going to buy, say, sneakers that cost about 150 pounds, if you cannot buy those sneakers 3 times the amount, if you cannot buy 3 of those sneakers at the same time, at the point you are going to buy it, you can't afford it. That's basically what that person is trying to say. So if you don't have 450 pounds spare while you're going to buy that sneakers for 150 pounds, you cannot afford it. So use that as a test to test yourself, to test your affordability each time you are going to buy something. How many times over can I buy this thing? If it's less than 3, you can't afford it. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, to remain poor. Please, 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 if you want to remain poor, never ever save. Don't save. Never save anything. Once you make money, spend. Spend everything. Life is lived once, you know? And that is one thing that a lot of people use to convince themselves never to save. Oh, there is only one life to live, and you're going to live it to its fullest. Oh, yes. There's only one life to live. What if you live that life up to the age of 80 and 90, and then you run out of money before you run out of life? What happens? So what is the essence of that life when you spend all the money once and then you spend the rest of your life in poverty? At least be optimistic that you're going to live long, and then plan for a long life with money in that long life. Don't pray for a long life and then work for poverty. So if you want to remain poor, please don't ever save. When you make money, spend it. Dish it out. When you go to occasions and you see your mates, spray money, get your own bundle, get in get your own bundle, get into the groove. Spray money. When you go home, poverty will spray you. Yeah. Let the money rain while you are outside. Then when you go in, you will start sweating. The sweat will rain on you. And you will realize what you've done to yourself. So that's number 2. Number 3, if you want to remain poor. Oh, detest investment. Hate investment. If you hear anybody talk about investment, get a gun, get a cutlass, chop do whatever you want to the person. That person is deceiving you. Anybody who loves investments, to you, is a fool. But do you know what? The only way you can grow money is by investing it. That is the only way to grow money. There is no other way. No money doubling, no rituals, nothing. The only magic, the only manu that doubles money, that grows money over time is investment. Nothing more. So if you hate investments, you are in love with poverty. If you love investments, you are a lover of wealth. And wealth will always locate you. It's natural. It's normal. That's how life operates. So my dear friends, I'm going to stop here today at these 3 things that I've told you about remaining poor and how to remain poor. And I just want you to just digest the things I've said already. But the next week, we're going to come back here and I'm going to load you with more things on how to remain poor, right? But I hope those who understand the sarcasm of this topic are picking up the important bits that we are mentioning here. That this is not about, me wanting you to remain poor, but this is me wanting you to understand the lessons that people learn and people take from life, and then they get themselves out of that financial hole. And the aim here is to financially liberate every one of us listening and watching. So thank you very much for watching today, and thank you very much for being here. And I'm going to see you guys again next week, Monday. Before then, on Wednesday, we're going to come back here to talk about properties, right? So now, Modesty Property Corner, we're going to be here again 12 o'clock and talking about properties. So God bless you. Have a lovely week and have a lovely day ahead of you. Bye bye now. Cheers.